Thanks for hanging out with us today. Today we wanted to share a little bit about SOLIDWORKS Manage and the dashboarding capabilities that we have with Manage. And we're going to be going through quite a bit of content. This was actually part of a presentation we did at SolidWorks World, or at 3D Experience World, sorry, this last February. So this presentation was actually built to be hands-on. We've revised it to where we could do it on the WebEx here. So we're excited to share this with you and share this information with you. So without further ado, we'll kind of jump through here and get going here. So first of all, really what we're going to be looking at today is how that Manage is really built for our processes, our projects, and for all this information that we may have been keeping in other places, and then how, as we start putting that information into Manage, we can utilize it in our dashboards and our reports very easily so that we're not running around gathering information and throwing into Excel or in different formats like that. We're also going to take a look at some of the SolidWorks PDM integration and how we can make life easier with PDM with our Manage capabilities and dashboarding. And then obviously we'll just really focus on how we could keep our organization informed by using these dashboards, or maybe even some reports here and there. So, all right. So again, my name is Michael King. I'm a PLM solutions consultant with Info Technology. We're part of the CATI family. I'm a certified PDM professional administrator. I've been doing design work since 2005. I've been using SolidWorks since 2008, and actually got into the PDM administration for a global operation about 2010, where we had locations all over the world doing PDM and engineering type work in the PDM environment. 2012, I took that role even further and actually got into managing design services for an engineering department for that same global company there, while still retaining all the admin duties. That's where I really learned the power of PDM and also what I wanted out of a system like Manage and what I was missing and what I was seeking for it. About 2017, I came on board as a PLM solutions consultant here at Inflow. And that's actually when they, the same year that they released Manage, after I was out of being an industry admin. I was like, why? I needed this when I was an admin. So I'm excited about it. These are some of the things that I wish we would have had back when I was an admin in some of your shoes here. So today, number one, we're just going to take a quick look at what Manage actually is, what it does, kind of what we're dealing with, especially because we get a lot of folks that maybe have been PDM users and really take advantage of PDM over the years. And now we're introducing Manage as this next step in the PDM product line. So, do a quick overview of the interface. We like to start with this because this is still a newer product that everyone hasn't really got a chance to see yet. We'll actually take a look at the importance of dashboards and how we can use them while we're using our different features in Manage. And we'll actually take a look at the dashboard designer. We'll do a change and show you the dashboard designer so that with the dashboard, you kind of know what you're getting into on the entry-level side of the dashboard designer. We won't be getting into any SQL query editing or store procedure type stuff. That's kind of the advanced side of it, but we do have that capability, and we'll mention that here at the end. Since this was still part of the presentations from 3D Experience World, the original presentations can be found at this address down here on the middle of the screen there. So, going to go ahead and kick it off with really, what is SolidWorks Manage? What's the deal? What's it about? So when in the past, we've had PDM. It's that document-centric system. It's built in Windows Explorer. The idea is that we can control our files and our information and put them in workflows, make sure the right people have them at the right time. You've heard that story. Manage, however, is more of that advanced product data management solution that takes it a step further and actually places it into a record-based system. So now our files can be connected to a record, and that record can live in multiple places at one time. Maybe, in PDM, we had projects that contained duplicate information, copies or shortcuts of files. So we could know that that file was in that project. Within Manage, we can have that record live in multiple places, multiple projects, processes, and really not affect the file in any way at that point. So it's also an extension of SolidWorks PDM. It helps us account for timelines through our project management capabilities that we have in Manage. And that's not just even timelines, but it's all of our deliverables. It's our standards that are required to build out a project. That's what we put into these projects and Manage to make our lives easier. We can monitor tasks and assignments. So that's not just what's assigned to me, which, I mean, that's fairly easy to do, but we dig into seeing what's assigned to our group, so that if we have downtime, we can help the other folks that are on our team. We look at the processes that we're a part of or that we're assigned to that are in progress. We can also see, what we've assigned. So instead of dumping an email and it goes away and Manage, we can actually assign something and keep track of that, and so we can follow up with it. We have flexible item management that gets us into advanced bill of material management. It's where we can have items that are represented by a record, maybe even a document, that we would not really want to have drawn and modeled up in SolidWorks or in PDM. So I'm not drawing a drop of thread lock. I'm not drawing my bubble wrap or my packaging material, but I could certainly have records for those things and Manage and keep those in bill of materials. And then finally, really just this visualization of our data and having the ability to get to our metrics very quickly in real time. So Manage just gives us that capability, takes the old method of grabbing information out of PDM searches and gathering it together and publishing it out in a Excel sheet or a report, and we could do that all from everything we've already captured on a dashboard or a report. The whole idea is that we can leverage our existing data. This is data that we've put in projects and tasks and processes, all that stuff that we're already taking advantage of in Manage, and we can use that data for our dashboards, for our reports, and actually let the system do the work for us. And with all of these things in one spot, with the control mechanisms that we have, with the information being disseminated in the way that it is, it helps us with our regulatory requirements and live up to our industry standards and control that. So we're going to get into a little bit deeper here. Really, this statement, I'm not going to read this statement, but I like the last line of this. So why would we choose SolidWorks Manage? And the last kind of piece of this, it says that we could use or distribute to many areas of your business. So when I think of PDM, I really look at that as an engineering tool. It can be used, it has been used outside of engineering, we're not saying that. But with Manage, it's actually built to incorporate other departments, other teams. It's to have that visibility and that connection between our teams and our departments. So it's not just limited to engineering anymore. It goes beyond the reaches of the engineering department and incorporates our other multifunctional teams. We start talking about compliance, this government regulatory requirements type stuff. PDM has done a great job. We've been using that to do that compliance conformity for a long time. I came out of the ISO 9000 world where we use PDM to help us keep in control. What Manage does, though, is it takes those handcuffs off of us so that we can go that next step forward. We'll take a look at some of that with some of the ways that we have processes that can be more advanced. So kind of a key features of Manage here, and we'll get to the dashboard type stuff here. This is the key features list of Manage and PDM together. The top 6 on the left-hand side, those are really where Manage excels. That's our spot in Manage where we really like to talk about. But if anything on this list, if you see that and go, hey, this speaks to me, we could really use this and this and this in our company to get things going, we'd love the opportunity to chat with you about that. Don't hesitate to contact us. I'll put up the contact information at the end of this to get a hold of us. Today, though, we're going to be looking at the dashboards and a little bit of reports mixed in there as well. So real quick, this is going to be a quick little how do we get in and navigate around. Real quick, we're going to go through and look at the interface of Manage. This kind of just walks us through how we're going to log in. And then when we get in there, we're going to have this ability to just see how the interface is laid out. We'll just take a second to do that. And then we'll actually get into where we get our dashboards. It's kind of important to find what we're looking for. So if you have Manage and you're clicking through and looking at things, to get to the dashboards, we go to Home, My Dashboard, and then select the dashboard at the top. And then something that we're going to do in a little bit later here is we're actually going to use this Edit button here to open up the Dashboard Designer. So that's so we could actually do a change to a dashboard. We're going to use that Dashboard Designer right here from the dashboard utility. So real quick, we'll go ahead and take a look at the system live here. So I'm in my Manage system, and to get to my dashboards, the goal here is really just to make it as easy as possible. As I get to hit Home, click on Dashboards, and now I have a drop down at the top of my system. I woke it up here too, so give it a second here. This is where we can actually select the dashboards that are available to us. This is going to give us the ability here to pick through what we want to look at. So I'm going to take a look at this project dashboard real quick. And this project dashboard, this is a dashboard that we use in our demonstration set, but we have some very similar to this in our offerings when we do implementations. What's great about these dashboards is I could pick one area, expand it out. I could grab a dashboard section and expand that out and save that information by right-clicking and doing the export. I could filter through this and have these filters that are clickable. So I could click on a project and see all of the information specifically about that project. Now, this information can be in real time or near real time. We can have it refresh every few seconds, up to every hour, or we could say never refresh unless I tell it to, with this button over here. But these dashboards, they allow us to give information in a very quick, concise way that users have the flexibility to kind of drive through. And if you've been watching anything that's going on lately, you'll know that dashboards have been, available throughout this pandemic to see different types of information, right? We're a very dashboard-centric society, and we like to see information in a nice modern way here. So these dashboards give us the ability to export. So if I right-click on a dashboard here, and say export, I can actually export that out to an image or a PDF or Excel and actually use this as almost like a report mechanism. So get the information I want, drill down through it, maybe even pick a group, and then save that out. That information is now usable in like a report, right? So that we could use that information. So that's one of our dashboards that we can look at. This is really what we're going to be looking at, is really how the dashboards help us out. But the other pieces of this is really our interface here. When we look at Manage, if you're familiar with PDM, this is what the Manage interface is going to look like when you start connecting to your PDM system here. If you take a look at this, it looks very familiar because we have, our e-drawings preview coupled with all of our tabs and information, our file and folder view area, what we'd have in PDM, and then our navigation pane. So keep that in mind as we're looking through this, how similar and natural this feels. So, all right. Again, so we'll get back to this. We'll actually come back to this in a minute here and look a little bit more at some of the other dashboards. But for now, let's jump back in here. So when we start talking about Manage, we really want to make an understanding that this is where we want to be capturing our process and project data, things like that. When we start looking at Manage's capabilities. So let me do one thing here. I need to expand something up. Right now, managing projects or company-wide processes, maybe our bill of materials or items. We even have our user tests that might be done through email or Excel or in a project notebook sitting on a SharePoint site, whatever that is. So these are all great tools. We know that. We're not saying that they're not tools or they're not good tools here. Whatever that is, they're all good tools, but really they're not connected. So these tools aren't set up in a way that I could go to my documents and plug something in, into one of my bill of material items that's outside of the system. It's not set up in a way that I could go to my project and bring in my my connection to my PDM system and throw a file in there. But with Manage, that's where this all changes. So when we start looking at project management, I could see all of my projects in one spot. I could take a quick look and grab a project piece here and look at all the tabs, look at the Gantt charts. All the information is available right here to me without leaving the system where all my files are. And because they're all in one spot, I can actually utilize these inside of my dashboards. So once we have all these information collected about our projects, we could actually have a dashboard. So let's take a look at the dashboard viewer. We'll get into the dashboard viewer a little bit more here in a minute. Let's take a deep dive into looking at one of our dashboards about projects. Now here's that project dashboard again. And what's great about this is I could have this set up here to that refresh, go through that. We can actually expand that out and have the full screen. And now all of my information about my projects are available. You can even click on my project manager here, unfilter that, actually go to my group and see what projects we're on again. It's kind of what we looked at a minute ago here. Undo that filter. Maybe we'll just pick on that one project again. And we can see what's needed to be done in the task, who's a part of it, what we're dealing with. So that information now from our projects is available to our dashboard capabilities. So we have great visibility. We have the ability to pull this up in a meeting. We didn't go and hunt down all that information. Now with process management, again, we have this process management that might be, an engineering change, or it might be an NPI, whatever process you're dealing with. Manage is set up to handle everything from a very small, easy process all the way to a very complex regulatory type process. And within Manage, we can even kick off sub processes and have different things happen and spawn out of the process mapping. So these processes, let's say we have an engineering change process. In the engineering change process, we want to actually, start attaching our information from PDM and pull that in. We can do that from within Manage and connect our processes directly to our data here. So inside of our engineering change dashboard, which we have all of our engineering changes done inside of our Manage now, we can actually expand this up, take a look at each one of these panes here, and make it so that we can read that or export that out. Within this dashboard piece here, we have the flexibility to, so like let's say we were doing ECNs here, I could actually export this out. Go ahead and hit print. Give that a second. And once we print that, we can actually print that out as kind of one of our dashboards for what's going on in the engineering change world. So these dashboards, again, we're collecting our information from our projects, and now we're collecting it from our processes. We can use that information in these dashboards. One of the other things that we talk about is the whole concept of the bill of materials. So inside this item management, we have the ability to do this non-CAD items. So in this example, we're actually going to take and add a document. So this document is something that we purchase off the shelf. It's not meant to be modeled and drawn, but we can go ahead and add that PDF directly to our bill of material. Now, kind of probably asking, well, how is bill of materials? How's that going to make sense to have a dashboard about that? What we actually would say is we can actually utilize the information of the process for the bill of material. Like let's say we have tasks that are assigned, like somebody needs to work on this bill of material, or somebody needs to find a piece, like in this case, a seat belt for our bill of material. What we could do is actually have tasks or due dates and track those tasks and those due dates on a dashboard. And speaking of tasks, if I want to go in and grab a task and start one up really quickly, I could just click on task, click on add a note. And what we could do is go ahead and give some time here. And we'll talk about tasks a little deeper here in a second. But when I click on the file and add a document here, I can add information directly from Manage which is a document we have embedded in Manage, or I can go to PDM and get one of my files from PDM and attach it directly to my task. So now I can assign that to a user. And there we go. We'll hit OK. And then we would save and close that here. But tasks are a very building block core of Manage. And because of that, they're inside of our project management, they're inside of our process management, they're inside of bill of material management. And the great way to see tasks is, number one, we could look at it on a task list. So all this information is being gathered and kept track of on a task list, but we can also have it available to us to get into a dashboard. So we could take that same information of all these tasks that are being generated and quickly come up with a dashboard here that we can have refresh. And we can basically take this dashboard and rearrange it to kind of fit what we need here. When we get over to this list box for the users, I can actually uncheck the users I don't want. Do that. And then we'll actually take a look at adding some users in. And then we can remove a couple if we don't want them back here. What that does is allows us to change the information that's being shown to us. So if we want to change how this looks on the fly, the user has that capability right inside the Manage Dashboard viewer. So that gives us the ability there to customize it to be specifically what we need to see in the sizing and everything. So when we use SOLIDWORKS Manage, it also really takes the handcuffs off of PDM, gets us to that next level. PDM, we have that connection directly to it. We've shown a little bit of that for a second ago, but what happens is every file, every document inside of PDM now gets a record in Manage. So that record, we could see where the PDM documentation is being used in Manage in our processes or ECNs or projects, or maybe even just references that we have in Manage. But it also allows us to control workflows. And when we start controlling workflows, let's say we have an engineering change process, we can attach files inside of PDM to Manage. And now that Manage process of that engineering change management system can control the workflow in PDM. So it's that one spot that we've always wanted to have the ability to say, we want to start the ECN, attach everything, and then have it push through the system and have the Manage system control that for us, so we don't have to really babysit it anymore. Within Manage, we could do that. We could control workflows and really keep control on our engineering documentation that's in PDM. Now, because of this, because we're attaching files to Manage from PDM, because we're dealing with those records that link to PDM, it allows us to visualize our PDM data. It allows us to have those dashboards. So first, let's show you here. I'm going to go ahead and look in PDM, and this is my Where Used tab. We're all familiar with this. This is where we have files that, here's our drawing, here's all this information, but now we have a Manage tab. I can see the bill of materials, the projects, the reference files. So I can actually see what ECRs are the documents are connected to, or what projects. My favorite is that down there on that tasks, is to be able to see if there's tasks in Manage that are attached to this, right? I could even go in PDM, grab a file apart, and send it to my engineering change system. So when I do that, I get my Manage information that pops up. I can configure that, and then I can have some requirements on the data that has to be input. So this allows us to make sure that we're getting clean data in, so that we can have clean data out to work with. Because that, we have dashboards that link to PDM, that we could see things that are in approved or development, or things that are in change. And this is tied directly to my PDM content, and maybe even some stuff that's under control by Manage. So it gives us that ability to visualize the PDM side of it that we really never had before, without some major customization and API. And really, so SOLIDWORKS Manage, we really believe it has the power to keep your organization informed, right? So we have dashboards and reports. We have this data without delays when we have these automatic refresh dashboards. We have customizable dashboards and reports that allow us to basically target our audience. So our customizable dashboards allow us to go in and actually have specific settings set up so our users can see the information they need right away in exactly the format they need. And the other thing we have is this dashboard viewer that we're going to talk a little bit more about here in a second, which gives us the ability to have that community monitor setting, right? So let's say I have a war room for my engineering team, or my executive has, data up on screens that they use in their meetings, or even just in their offices. With this dashboard viewer, we're going to talk about that and how we can utilize that to get them going. So here's a dashboard again. This is another one where we can actually look at some tasks. Again, this is just another way that, hey, we customize this one to be a little different for our user. So we've given the users the ability to have even more than one dashboard. Maybe they need a dashboard that's available specifically about their team tasks, and they need one that's available about their personal tasks, or a process or project that they're involved in, or we've shown even some dashboards that connect to PDM. Dashboards really can connect to anything we're doing in Manage or PDM, but they can also connect to other data sources. So what we would say is that there's always a possibility to connect to other data from another data source. So Manage dashboards could get into that with maybe some advanced SQL scripting or stored procedures. Sorry. So what we're going to talk about here is this next piece, which is a report. So what we can do with that same data that we've been collecting here from our processes, our projects, our bill of materials, we can actually use that data not just for dashboards. We could also take advantage of that same data we've been collecting and make a quick report out of it. So I know this is called, we have a dashboard for that, but we throw a report in here too, just to show that a little bit. These reports are fully customizable, just like the dashboards. These reports allow us to basically utilize the information we're doing downstream. So we could take this and have the report created and automatically generated out of our documentation as the engineering change order is completed. And then that could be sent out to all the stakeholders that needed the engineering change notice. We can do some pretty cool things with these reports. If you're interested about more information about those, let us know. And this other thing is this dashboard viewer. So this dashboard viewer is something that really we could put on a monitor. We could put on a conference room screen, or maybe even an executive screen. The dashboard viewer is pretty cool. It came out in 2020 this year. We've been pretty excited about it. We have the ability to do that automatic refresh setting, and we can actually set this up as a standalone application. So this could be sitting on a community monitor where we have folks that gather and need to see this information. It could be out in the shop. It could be wherever you'd like that. The great thing is there's no license consumed when we're using this dashboard viewer. So you're free to use this to connect to our data and be able to share that out as needed. Again, it's great for that community monitor setting or that conference room capability where we don't want to have the full access to Manage or don't need it. So again, here's kind of the three takeaways for this. When we start looking at the dashboards, again, they're this interactive graphical dashboard displays that do this critical information in a modern way. They're highly customizable and versatile, and they can display continually updating dashboards on community monitors. So we think that this is going to help with that capability. Now, the next thing I just want to show for a second, I know we're running slow on time. I said I'd be about 35 minutes, so I want to keep that. I don't want to waste too much of your time here. So what we're going to do is actually take a look at the dashboard designer and just go over that for a second to show where the dashboards are changed and what the deal is with that. So inside of Manage, when we click on a dashboard, I'm actually going to get one that I know is broken. This one has a spelling error in it because engineers never make spelling mistakes, right? It's never a thing. Anyways, we'll go ahead and hit edit here. And this is going to bring up our dashboard designer. And from here, this tool is going to allow us to make the edits and changes and configurations to our dashboards that are required. Go ahead and expand that out. And this is the dashboard designer. Up here, we have the same ribbon we've been kind of dealing with in the other areas of Manage. We have some abilities to bring in data through this SOLIDWORKS Manage data wizard. We have the different items we can insert. So this one right here is just a group of pie charts. We have a grid right here in this area. That's just one of the grids right here. And then we have some different filters that we can create to make things easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick change here and make a quick update and add some information to our chart here, or to our dashboard, sorry. So when I get to this, first of all, I want to quickly change this spelling error here. I'm just going to say NPI project managers. We'll make that change. So that's done. That's out of our hair here. We got that kind of quick fix to make that deal. So next thing I want to do, I'm going to make a quick chart. And this chart, I want to show the yearly revenue for all the projects that I have in my queue and kind of where we're at. Because let's face it, these projects don't mean much if we don't show that projected first year revenue. And yeah, the number's great, but let's put it on a chart format to make it easier for our target audience that we're going to be dealing with. So I'm going to go ahead and click chart. I'm going to grab my projected first year revenue and throw that onto my value, which is one of my data items I want to be working with. I'm going to go ahead then and grab my part number. I'm going to make that my argument. Put that here. And then from here, I'm going to go to this and make sure that this is on sum, which it is. Great. And then from here, I'm going to click and change this name really quick. The reason I'm doing this is I actually don't want it to show up in the legend. So we're going to turn that off as well so we save a little room. Okay, let's say that, and that'll be the name of our chart here. And then what I'd like to do is click on that and go to my design tab. And I want to just quickly rotate this around so we can kind of show it in this range here. And because I don't really need this legend, I'm putting it right in the title of this. I can get rid of this show legend. I have some other capabilities with that legend. I can shift it around if I wanted it to sit somewhere else. We can do things with, colors and all sorts of things with these elements we're adding in. But this is really just the basic of adding information to a basic dashboard. There's some great things we could do with having some SQL queries. We can actually get into having stored procedures and build catalogs of dashboards that allow us to do different scenarios for our company on our dashboard settings. So real quick, we'll go ahead and save that out. Then we'll just check our changes. So now we've added that first year revenue, close that out, and now it gets added to our dashboard that we can see here. Or if we wanted to, we could even see it on our dashboard viewer. We'll show that real quick in the dashboard viewer, which is that standalone application that we would deal with, in that community monitor or within the executive's office or whatever we're dealing with there. Pull that up. And then from here, this dashboard could be set up on that monitor and have the screen extended out. Make our changes here to show some pieces, and there we go. So again, with Manage, we believe that the capabilities that we have really will help any organization see the true potential they have with their engineering data, along with their PDM files and dashboarding capabilities that we have with the system. So again, we can have those alternative data sources like stored procedures, or even those SQL queries to do some advanced dashboarding capabilities. like to take this time. Is there, Bob, did we have any questions on the phone?
We did. It was a matter of licensing, I believe, from Joseph Smith. The question was, so does SOLIDWORKS Manage only available if one, you already have PDM Pro, and is it an additional package as well, or is it standalone?
So Manage, if you don't have PDM, Manage would come with a PDM license. There is some upgrade options from PDM to get to Manage as well. But they do work hand in hand with each other. So if you're looking to do to start out fresh, that would require a license of Manage that does include PDM as well. And what was the other part of that question, Bob?
I guess it was additional cost, which you kind of already. It's an add-on for PDM Pro, so.
Correct.
Yes.
And it's basically so if you already have PDM, it's about the cost of the original PDM license to add on Manage, and then if you're looking at starting from scratch, it's about twice the cost of a PDM license for Pro.
Okay, and then a secondary question: will it work on PDM Standard?
It will not.
It will not. So it only works on PDM Pro.
Correct. However, there are upgrade options from Standard to Pro to Manage. If you already have been using PDM Standard and you're embedded in that and you'd like to take that to the next step, we could definitely go from PDM Standard to PDM Pro. It's actually a very, very quick and painless process.
Okay, awesome.
Any other questions?
Well,
again, I'm going to leave my contact information here. If you have any questions about Manage or any of the other features that we didn't dig into deeply, or just want some more information, don't hesitate to contact us. We'd love the opportunity to chat with you about it.